Want a unique take on the vintage guitar? Check out these Maybachs. If you're watching this video, chances are you're not already subscribed to the channel. So make sure you hit the subscribe button now to stay up to date with our latest videos. And while you're there, give us a thumbs up too. Hi, Sam from Guitar Village here. For decades, Fender and Gibson have been at the forefront of the electric guitar movement, with their classic design that everyone knows, everyone loves. Recently, we did a video on Eastman guitars, who make an excellent alternative to the Gibson brand. Today, we're going to have a look at Maybach, who do both the Gibson and Fender alternative. Let's learn a little bit more about them. In 1985, the iMusic Network, who are the owners of Maybach guitars, started thinking about some of these highly desirable vintage guitars that we all know and love, and decided they wanted to have their own take on these models. So they put a small team together, based in the Czech Republic. They hand-build these guitars using only nitro finishes, and the end result is an authentic recreation of some of these classic designs. Throughout the video, we're going to do a blindfold A/B comparison between the Maybach and their counterparts, so stick around to the end of the video to find out which ones are which. So for our first comparison, I thought I would pick up one of the Murphy Lab 59 Les Pauls in the ultralight aging. I think this is a great benchmark for us to compare to the Lester because it's a 59 model and it's got the aging. However, when you look at the price of the Maybach, you might argue that it's more comparable to something like a Les Paul Classic. So I've got the Maybach next to me, and let's just take a second to look at each of these models side by side. And actually, when you look at them, especially in the body, they are very, very close. I picked up on a few small things, and these are small things that make these guitars different. Little bits like the shape of the strap buttons, the way the heel's shaped on the back, the shape of the control knobs, the type of bridges used on each one. But actually, overall, when you look at some of the similarities, I mean, they're both mahogany body and necks. They've both got maple caps. They've both got Indian rosewood fretboards. They've both got PAF style pickups. They've got lacquer checking. These things are very comparable. And what I really like in the Maybach is some of the sounds they get from these amber pickups. Wolfgang Damm is the person behind the amber pickups. He works out of Germany, and he actually used to design pickups with Gibson as well, so you know you've got a really good pedigree there. For our next comparison, we're going to take this Fender Custom Shop 52 Tele reissue with a humbucker in it, and we're going to compare it to the T52 Teleman from Maybach guitars. Now let me put these guitars side by side so you can just check them out for a sec. What you're probably seeing is that actually on the surface they are very similar, and in fact they are very similar. They both got lacquer checking, which is why I think it's fair to compare these two. The other comparison you may make when you look at the price of the Maybach is you might want to compare this to something like an American original Tele. So that's how far the prices are apart. Little things, once again, different knob shapes and things like that do separate these two, but nothing major. A thing that I did notice on the specs is that the Maybach actually has a sugar pine body, which is very similar to what you're going to find on some of the early Fender Telecasters. Some of them did in fact have pine bodies as well, so not a major thing, but definitely something of interest. For our final comparison, as the benchmark guitar, we are using this Gibson 59 VOS ES335. Now, I've got the Capitol right here, so let's check that out and put it next to each other. We're seeing a very familiar theme across the Maybach range, is that on the surface, actually, these guitars, they're still very similar. It doesn't matter if it's one of their Telemans, one of the Lesters, or even the Capitol. They do a really, really good recreation of those classic designs. Something I did notice with the Capitol that might affect some people's decision if they want to buy one or not, is that the body's slightly thicker than on a 335. Not much, maybe about the depth of the binding thicker, but something that someone may consider. You have other little touches, with the Capitol that maybe you do get with the Gibson. The Gibson is definitely more accurate to the original 59s. However, the hardware you get on this is go-to, so it's going to be great. And the Spirit of 59 pickups by Amber are just brilliant too. We've heard these guitars, we've taken a look at some of the specs on them and listened to some of the history of Maybach. And now it's time for a roundup. There were 4 things that I think are important to go over, and 4 things that I really noticed when comparing these guitars. The first thing was the neck profiles. On every example I tried, the Maybachs had bigger necks on, which gave a really solid feel, which I think some players are going to really like. The next thing was the weight. Every Maybach example I tried was lighter than the Fender or Gibson counterpart, and it's something that Maybach actually spec up. So every guitar they produce has to be below a certain weight, and that's going to be really useful for some people. One of the other things that I noticed was the tone of the guitar. Now, the PAF pickups definitely sounded different to the Gibsons, and something that was there that I didn't hear from the Gibsons, and not saying it should be there or that it's better or worse, it's just different, is that there was a lot more in terms of the lower mid-range on the Maybachs, and that could be really useful if you're playing some jazz or maybe rock music. The biggest factor I think though in this roundup, and it's something that every player should consider when they're thinking about these guitars, is the price. We compared these like for like specs guitars with the actual examples that we had in the shop, and in some cases the price difference was either 2 or even 3 times different. So when you're looking at these, that's a big chunk, and I think it makes Maybach an absolutely viable option for most people. The main thing I learned though from this is that Maybach definitely makes an authentic recreation of those classic guitars that we all love. All the gear used in today's videos will be linked in the description below. The amp we were using is the Vox AC30C1. We really enjoyed making this video and we hope you enjoyed watching it. So to stay up to date with our latest videos, which will be released every Friday at 4 PM, make sure you hit the subscribe button and don't forget to give us a thumbs up too.